I'm Kai, and I am the host for Conversations with Kai. Today, as always, I am so excited to introduce to you some people that are conversation pieces. They are change agents in our community and certainly a part of the foundation of Chicago. I'm going to begin by introducing to you Maggie Brown to my right and Africa Brown to my left, two sisters who emerged from one of the most powerful, creative families, not only just in Chicago, but in the world. They are the daughters of Oscar Brown Jr. Greetings.
Greetings, Ms. Kyle.
Hello.
Hello, glad to be with you.
I know,
Yeah.
these are my sister friends. It has been a while since we have come together in this manner. But I just wanna you to briefly talk about who your father was in the context of Chicago and the music landscape or ecosystem. And then from there, we'll just go into how it's impacted you or influenced you, what you're doing today.
My sister and I work together. We call ourselves two Brown sisters.
Yeah.
And part of the reason we took that name is because we're so proud to be Brown sisters, to be working to further our own knowledge of the legacy of our family, as well as to spread it, share it, so that others could feel some of this pride and love that we feel, not only for our family, for the history, but for what connects us to Chicago history, to music, to other artists. So we've been really fortunate in terms of being able to come up under the tutelage of not only Oscar Brown Jr., but our grandfather, Oscar Brown Sr. He and his brother came up from Mississippi and helped to fight against restrictive housing covenants, they thought of starting a 49th state at one point, and to empower Black people to become entrepreneurs and to own condominiums and to just rise above what we found ourselves relegated to when we came seeking the promised land, right? And we had that strip that is now the metropolis we call Bronzeville.
Yes.
So there's a lot that connects us to that.
Yes.
And then we love music.
Yes.
And we watched Dad ever since we were little.
love
Africa
music.
really grew up in the theater.
It's very true. It's very true.
As far as just having that nepotism vibe, luckily, you know.
Yeah.
So in our late
In a good
brother,
way.
yeah, in a good
In a
way. Yeah, the
wonderful
nepotism
way,
vibe that had us. If we weren't in the show, we were working the box
working
office or
backstage.
selling, helping, with the tickets,
Yeah.
and just learning the business, and then being able to actually help create with Dad, or at least help co-direct, and especially as he would work with young people. So to say who is Oscar Brown Jr., he was quite a Chicagoan. He took the sights and sounds that he grew up around on the South Side, and those, he said, were some of the helped create some of the songs that he's most proud of.
Yes. His entire body of work was about the sovereignty of the individual, about us as people, and dignity was non-negotiable. And that was across the board with our grandfather, with our father, and even with our late brother. So coming up like that, Maggie and I, we find ourselves unable to do anything without that stamp. We find ourselves unable to stand on stage and just la 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 la. We have to, provide a message, a guidance, some kind of piece of wisdom.
Yeah. Y'all need to know about this, where we come from.
And one of the things that has always stuck with me about Oscar Brown Jr., your dad, is that his music was a plethora of jazz, folk, blues, gospel, soul, R&B, the whole thing. But he did describe himself as a soul singer, or as a this, or as a that. And so we just accepted it because it was beautiful, it was wonderful. You could move to it, you could listen to it, you could write to it, you could groove to it. How have you done the same? Are you doing the same? How has that impacted you at a time when everybody wants to put you in a box?
Well, okay, so like to me, Dad, he wouldn't let himself be segregated, as the Black performer, like that's what it is and that's what he is. He spoke about world issues, and he spoke universally, and inclusively, and definitely not in a segregated way. You know what I mean? And so he was about the human spirit. the upliftment of the human spirit. And so, yes, we've done that. We do that.
Because we were raised on what he called edutainment.
Yeah.
And we had great examples of how you conduct edutainment. And so much of, Dad was, he
was hip.
He was definitely a hip cat. He received the gift of this poetry. He said he didn't have to pay anything for it. All he had to do was pay attention.
And if he was paid what he paid,
he would be well paid, which was mean. And so he never liked the idea of having to sell music by the penny or by the song or the bar or whatever, but more to sort of give it away because it was given to him, and to use any platform or an attention you're given to, again, like shine a light on human spirit and to uplift it. And edutainment is performance not just for the sake of amusement, although we are quite amusing, but also for upliftment, for education, for unifying. And so by coming up watching Dad either working with the Blackstone Rangers in the 60s, we knew of that myth. I was little, she wasn't even here yet, and we knew of that, and then came Buck White and different musical plays that he would do that always had a message. And always were, they were revolutionary,
Yes.
The one time Oscar made the charts, his song called Lone Ranger was climbing the pop charts, and they pulled it from the record, from the radio stations because of the hook, of the punchline. And y'all look it up. Oscar Brown Jr. is the Lone Ranger. But Dad was very prolific, and he grew out of a movement for, as Africa was talking about, the dignity and that our grandparents came from and wanted to instill in us.
Yes, it's very different today.
Yeah. And as far as what we do, we have the opportunities to do things like be at the American Writers Museum this week because they have a wonderful exhibit there that recently opened about prophets, writers and prophets. And then they have a room that's dedicated to Chicago writers. And so it's beautiful that a banner was unveiled, installed there in November for Dad, who's in there with Mike Boyko and Studs Terkel, Lorraine Hansberry, and other great, wonderful, he's in great company. And that museum, American Writers Museum, is like a bit of a hidden treasure.
He's a writer and a composer.
Yeah, he's a writer and a composer. And such a poet.
Right,
Yes.
right. And I think a lot of his poetry, like my beliefs are in my work. Beliefs were in his music, in his words when he would sing them. And so being hip, he believed in being a hip cat. And HIP is an acronym for Human Improvement Potential. And so we are always trying to work toward that, or stand strong to it, because what else are we doing? Here.
Not that. Yeah, right.
We're not trying.
No, I'm just listening and feeling you. It's just so nice to be able to do that, to vibe.
Right.
So I always think of him as a precursor of the whole rap, generation.
Well, he's definitely the grandpap of rap.
You know
And
what I mean?
I'll tell you something, Kylie, it's kind of best would certainly mean with us that they recently celebrated the 50th anniversary of rap and hip hop,
I
right?
remember.
And Daddy's name didn't come up, which is pretty much, it's really a shame, because before there was a Gil Scott, before there was a Last Poet, there was an Oscar Brown Jr.
Right.
And I bet if you could ask any of them, they would say, oh no, Oscar definitely, put something on my mind and made me feel. He bust open the doors about spoken word, about rhyming, and saying something of social justice and of great impact to our people. And over a jazz beat, back in the late 1959, 1960. And so he really is a grandpap of rap. But, as toward the end of Dad's life, he passed in 2005, and, people would ask, well, how do you feel about the rap of today? And sometimes he would talk about how, it might be so fast he can't even understand it all. But, again, if it's not something that's hip, if it's not leading to our human improvement potential, which after it represents wisdom based on truth, health, good health and wellness, things that don't allow for negative self-indulgence, as well as compassion, because that offers creative ways to love. And so,
Let's
the
say
program,
that again.
creative ways to love is offered by
ways to
having
love.
that compassion, and that those properties, those ways are HIP program, and any program that doesn't have that ain't it. It's just that simple. And so
I love that.
It's
like,
a movement. No,
Yeah,
it's,
the hip
it's a
movement,
movement. The hip
let's
movement is
move
coming
back
Yeah.
to a neighborhood and a school and a church near you. And
that word
coming.
he coined, your father coined.
Edutainment.
And talk about how you have been doing that in the work that you do, your art.
Almost like
To
can't help it.
educate
Mhm.
and entertain is it comes on a platter with us,
Yeah, it's
and we
the same
serve it
thing.
every time we come. Every time we come,
Can't help it.
we can't help
Can't
it,
help
you
it.
know, and it's all right because also it's not just the lyrics that we sing that are educational that our father wrote, but what is embodied in us, and the fact that when we're talking, we're passionate about what it is we're doing because we believe in it, and that's why doing this work is almost not like work. It's a wonderful thing to
Mhm.
be in such a family and to have such a legacy and to be pulling it forward. And I was recently sharing it with
Mhm.
my grandchildren. You know,
Mm.
teaching them the songs and teaching them to dance to it. And
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
7 grandchildren.
Africa has got
Yes.
7. It's
I
unbelievable.
know.
To be the baby of the family.
I
Right.
Now I
know.
know
Most
how
prolific.
old I am.
No,
But,
no.
but seriously, what you all are sharing and professing is that you are expressing love
Yes.
Yeah,
through
that's
your
what brown
service,
sisters
That's
are.
right.
through your art.
Right.
And so that's one
That
way
is the
to do,
service,
and
yeah.
I think that's pretty phenomenal.
I agree with you. We are the legacy. We are helping
Yeah, we
carry
are
on.
living it. As Bobo, as our late brother would say, we are this music, we live this art.
Yes.
You know, we are this music and we live this art. And Daddy's literary genius, though, is not even nearly as well known. And what we, figured out is that he didn't publish as much during his lifetime, as say his counterparts. You know a lot about Margaret Burroughs and my dear Gwendolyn Brooks and Mary Baraka and Sonia Sanchez and Nikki Giovanni. They published more, and Oscar really didn't. There's one book of poetry called What It Is.
Well, he was busy doing.
He kept
expressing.
writing and doing his grassroots efforts and getting with young people and working in what turned out to be helping with After School Matters when the mayor came to him in the 80s and said, hey, we're looking kind of bad with the murders in Chicago. I want you to do that kind of thing you did in the 60s when you went with the gangs and helped quell the violence in the Woodlawn neighborhood.
But see, he was always connected to the people. See, that's very different than the other poets you're talking about. And it's no shame to them, but speaking words and sharing them. Of course, they wrote it down, but he was feeling the words, putting the words out there in rhythm. Everybody could hear, so,
He just didn't have that kind of
That's
platform
okay.
that some of those, as I mentioned. He did some things with Sonia Sanchez toward the end, and Mary Baraka in Dad's documentary that's called Music Is My Life, Politics My Mistress. He says how, they respected him. They knew that he did a lot of precursory things that helped to make the contents of what became the Black Arts Movement and that sort of thing.
Brought people together.
Yeah, and inspired other people's work and social justice along with the cadence, I was surprised to find in doing a little panel about Black music, I was on for the one that was for maybe soul and funk. I was like, well, what am I gonna talk about? I mean, I grew up on funk, don't get me wrong, all that Parliament Funkadelic and all that. Candy, but I looked up, and Daddy, when he was on the Atlantic Records, they labeled him under soul and funk. And so then I thought about it, and a song like Lone Ranger, really think about that bass line.
Oh, definitely.
It was funk,
Right.
I mean, you think about music, right? And so it made sense, but it was just funny. It's like, oh, my dad is actually
You
considered
just had
a
thought
funk
about
artist.
it in that
And I
context.
sure had not.
So right now, what are you up to? What is coming? We're celebrating what?
We are
We're
up to-
celebrating
we're
the
up to some
100th centennial birthday of Oscar Brown Jr.
There
coming
you
up.
go.
Yeah.
10/10/26 will have been his 100th birthday, and so we are trying to really stamp a nice picture in people's minds of who he was and what he represents as an artist.
And
how his
how's
work
that
will help.
showing up?
It's showing up in
It's showing up in we're gonna have different performances and concert and tributes. We hope to have maybe a festival, put it out there in Harper Court. Because the street was named after Oscar Brown Jr. It's Oscar Brown Jr. Way from 52nd to 53rd on Harper, across from the theater. That though it's now a movie house, it used to be a legitimate stage theater where Daddy did a show called Summer in the City in 1967, 68, I believe. And so that spot, it just is right for this kind of outpouring of like a word festival around Oscar. And we hope this summer, as well as we're just gonna kick off some things. We're proposing things to various institutions like the Obama Foundation and the Arts Bank, rebuild with those guys. And we're also gonna have an exhibit, we hope, at Blanc Gallery. Yeah, the Blanc Gallery on King Drive, that's gonna happen. So a lot of things are happening this fall. We'll probably
We
be in
re-released the book, what it is, that Maggie was talking about earlier, the book got
the
re-released.
one poetry
The
book.
one poetry book, so you can get that on OscarBrownJr.com, OscarBrownJr.org, and that was released, and so it's looking really nice.
And we have some music that we've been working on. We're remaking some things. We're remaking a few tunes from those 60s, those hip days in the 60s. And we have some message music, you know, that feels good.
I think that's important because I don't know what's going on in a lot of our homes, but I know the way that I grew up exposed and introduced to music because my father didn't like to go to church. So on Sunday mornings, he would start out with music and he would go through the whole thing. So we went from show music, really, you know, to gospel, what's the other one? It's not gospel, hymns.
Hymns. And so forth.
And then we went to blues, rock and roll,
some big band,
jazz, the big, all of that, everything, all the way, you know, to at that time Motown.
Yeah.
So I was just appreciative of all of it. I wasn't forced to say, oh, this is my favorite or anything like that.
Love it all.
I just heard, there you go.
We come
all
from it all.
of it. We came from it all.
We came from it all.
So how are we doing that now in terms of being teachers who edutain and you know, parents, grandparents? What is our responsibility where our art is concerned in that?
I remember my dad said that, you know, adults are complaining, you know, the kids, they just don't read, they don't know this, they're, you know, as if they're stupid, and he said, well, teach them.
That's right.
You know, tell them, you know, teach them what it is you think they don't know.
He said, if you're intelligent, why are your children ignorant?
Exactly.
You gotta tell them,
possible?
and you have to deal with them. You have to, it's like shine the light on what is important to you, and we have to oftentimes build up the importance.
That's right.
You know, because we know that in this world is going on right now. Oh, they're trying to like forget about our history, our achievements mean nothing, and that sort of thing. So no, it's up to us to hold it up to the light, to shine a light on it. And we definitely, Africa and I definitely feel like we're avenging any derailing of what is a brilliant poetic, literary, musical, playwriting career. You know, because he wasn't gonna be bothered. He wasn't gonna be bothered with it. He wasn't doing it for that. But we are definitely feeling committed to, you are going to know about these beautiful musical plays, about these wonderful songs, about how we can take this material and turn it over to our young people and help turn them on so that they can come to their own economic and spiritual rescue.
Go back and forth with him about it. He just like he's gonna put on the work. But Maggie and I will go back and forth with you about it. We gotta ride there and back actually.
Actually.
So you touched upon his work with the Blackstone Rangers, and we have younger people watching, but I really want to point out that he was able to wrangle those young men, women in.
You can look it up and find
they
information
performed,
about it.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we could do that, but I just wanted them to know that.
No, I'm saying I would encourage your
about.
audience if they, Opportunity Please Knock was the name of the show. It was performed at the First Presbyterian Church in Woodlawn. This was 1968, and again, it was something that Oscar Brown Jr. did, and and then there's another thing. Muhammad Ali, when Muhammad Ali was a conscientious objector to the Vietnam War and would not be drafted into the military, and so they stripped him and he couldn't work, and so he got a gig playing the starring role in a musical of Oscar Brown Jr.'s called Buck White. Yes, child. They went off. It was off Broadway. And Daddy talked about how on opening night Miles Davis showed up, and just it was just a really big deal. And of course, you know, folks closed it down immediately because it was just too, as they could conveniently say, ahead of its time.
Right, and then when they sing it, and it's all over now.
Mighty Whitey, it's all over now. Yeah, Muhammad
So,
Ali was in costume.
What are you
and
talking about?
they couldn't do it. Yeah, it was heavy. And there's been articles because the 50th anniversary of that has since happened, and I know there was articles about it. That's what I was saying. Please, you know, research. We have to read more.
Mhm.
We have to look deeper into some of the people whose shoulders we're standing on. And fortunately, I think because we did respect and revere our grandparents and listen to the stories, even if they told us the same ones every Sunday we came by. But it sank in. It gave us an appreciation for how we touch history, how we're putting our brick onto the wall of this whole thing. And so we're just real committed to trying to make that infectious and make others feel like they have a stake, that they're vested interest in creating the history that'll be history tomorrow.
Thankfully, that was the
Today,
way we were.
What's happening today, how
That we have all that it is. Like Brother Kalan Phil Coran used to say that we are. You are all of
Y'all
you.
going
The
back
whole
to
package is
all
what
the
he
the
was
whole
saying.
package.
The
The
whole
whole
package.
package.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I was just listening to you say, you know, both of you, we have to read, and I'm just gonna say this to people listening. If you have the opportunity, be intentional today to take at least, start out with a half an hour and just read something. Get off the social media, iPhones, iPads, laptops, and pick up a book or a magazine. Start with that. But read. It changes how you receive information. And do that with your children.
And it exercises your brain.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
that
It changes how you
Exercises your
learn.
brain. Yeah.
So are there any last words or anything you want to invite folks?
We encourage folks to go to the American Writers Museum and see the whole prophets
And where
and
is
writers. That is 180 North Michigan. So you're basically at Lake or Southwater. Might be Lake and Michigan Avenue on the second floor there, 180 North, and that's American Writers Museum. That's going to be ongoing. The banner's there. This exhibit about American prophets and writers.
And please check out OscarBrownJr.com. Get a copy of What It Is, Poems and Opinions of Oscar Brown Jr.
That's a,
it's
you get that.
And that's a
And
part of what
really,
we're doing.
our on iTunes we have the last recording that we made. Luckily, Africa was with us, and we made it with our dad. We were at the Hot House way back when, and it's still available on iTunes. And someone was at church Sunday, and they were like, "This is a blessing. I'm so glad I have this CD." and it was a phenomenal night. So you can find we're live because we were live in concert. It was Oscar Brown and Maggie Brown. But Africa's with us, and it was a really wonderful concert. And then when you go to the site and you leave us your info, or you just keep checking back, you're gonna see stuff about the tributes we have happening in Chicago.
And
probably
we
get
love
the
to
Jazz
collab.
Fest.
Reach out to us. We love to collab with artists everywhere.
There's a lot of stuff.
A lot of sharing that we want to do, and there's a lot of work we could do together.
Yeah.
Just do one little
bit of something.
No, just a little bit of song. Just it could be the last line. I don't care, but just so they can. You were singing for a minute. So they can just hear your beautiful voice.
You call it this time.
Forgive me if I seem to preach, but there's something that
I want to say. A message that I hope will reach the people who are throwing life away. I call it my philosophy, and that is why I pass it on to you. Because it works so well for me and helps me get away from the strife. I hope you listen carefully. Say the truth will make you free. That's the way you wanna be. 'Cause brother, this is your life.
I love you.
Yeah.
Love you.
Thank
Love
you
you
so
too.
much.
Pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Everybody.
Thank you for being here and sharing.
Conversations with Kai.
Come on.